Hello everyone, Etalon Beats here. I will walk you through one of my Serato's kitchen submission. Let's check out first the sample itself. I used only this one note in the intro and in the main part. So let's dive in. So let's check out the beat first. Okay, so let's start with the melody. I will open up the envelopes. As you can see, we have a lot of automation here and a lot of effects. I will go through these effects now. So ASAP spectral clipping is cutting the harmonic components below a certain point. I use this to clean up the sound a bit. Let's see what it does. Then Gulfas, it's an intelligent EQ to make it smoother. Then a bit of filtering. I added a bit more dynamics with Neutron's transient shaper. Even more dynamics with Renegade. A bit of movement with management. Then I started pitch shifting, frequency shifting, and formant shifting with these three effects. Let's see what they are doing here. After that, I widened the sound a bit with wider. Then I cut some lows. Then I added Native Instruments Freak. because I did not automate this parameter here, it stays still. It makes like it's going down, but in effect the other effects pitching the material up, and because this stays at the same place, it feels like it's going down, but in reality it does not go down. I had to filter out some ear fatiguing frequencies after freak. Then in the intro part I used DTB LKFX stereo. This is a very old plugin. It's in 32-bit, so if your DAW can't handle it, then just don't use it. Reaper can handle it. It smears the sound. Then after that, tremolo. OTT to make it more fat. Gulfas, just a tiny little bit. Black hole, this is my go-to reverb nowadays. Many compressors saturate and standard clip to catch the peaks. Then tremolo to make it more dynamic. Then I added another track below melody. This means that this track receives all of the effects from here. This is a trombone. It creates a nice effect together with the other track. Let's hear it here at this part. Without it. So yeah, that was the melody part. I like to add always something just before the drop. In this case, I added a reversed open hi-hat. Just copied this one here, reversed it, added a panorama automation and a tremolo automation where I automated the frequency and the depth. So as it comes in, it gets stronger and stronger. Let's hear it soloed. On the track I added a slew sonic, which is a high pass filter. Here is without it. with it. Edit saturation. Reverb. Then a gate plugin, which doesn't work at this point. Right after the drop, I use this siren sound. I stretched it out, then applied widening, which is gradually gets wider and wider, and use the black hole reverb on it. There is not much going on with the hi-hats. I applied slew sonic here, wider, management to move it around, rear pitch to modulate the foreman shifting, then standard clip to cut off the tops. When the snare hits, those heads are lowered in volume by 9 dB. Later on I have some shakers here, just to make it more interesting. As you can see, the snares are layered. I used one snare and two claps. One of the clap is panned to the right and the other one is panned to the left. And when they hit again here, then I pan them differently. This was panned left, this is panned right, this was panned right, this is panned left. So it makes a bit of variety. On the track I applied some gain, some transient shaping, clipping, made it a bit wider, applied some EQ, and used PSP Hertz Rider too, which is good for percussive elements. After that I applied some saturation. Use the same techniques on the clap as well. They are sitting in a folder which has a saturator. I did not apply drive here, it is only cutting back the overshoots. And after that I have a beef here, which adds a bit of high, just a tiny little bit of noise and a bit of drive. Then this goes to the drums bus, which applies some clipping again. I have some filler sounds, some glitchy sounds from glitch machines. I imported them here and automated the panorama and the pitch on some of them. Then I set the volume for each one, then just duplicated them. They sound something like this. For the kicks I only applied some saturation with 2 dB boost. That's it. Then I send the signal from the kicks, from snares, from taps, and from the perks into an aux track, which has a reverb on it. It's a free reverb by Elephant DSP, and it sounds like this. The bass was a tricky one. Let me explain why. I used beef to give it some character. Here is with it and without it. Then I wanted to widen it. But it caused the problem. Here is what's going on. You can monitor the energy on the left and right with the goniometer, and when you use the polyverse wider, the bass gets shifted to the left. Check this out. And that creates an unbalanced sound. So what I had to do with this is using 2 different novas, one for the left and one for the right. These are dynamic EQs, and when I applied these, then the energy of the subs gets right around the middle. But I was not happy with the result, so I added a dual mono compressor called Shadow Hills mastering compressor, and I use the dual mono function here. This means that I can compress the left and right separately. Let's see what does that with the sound. It's much better now. After that I applied some saturation, and that's it. I also have a different track called Bass Character here. This has some extra effects on it called Y notch and Z notch by Air Windows. These are notch filters, and I automated the frequency parameters on them. It's also reversed. Let's hear it. In order to make room for everything in the mix, every time the kick and the snare hits, I duck the volume of these other tracks, of these folder tracks. And I achieve that by using these sidechain signals. They are not audible. They are just sitting here to control. I put all of them right before the kicks and the snares. Let me show you what's going on here. These are just very short notes, and their signal goes to these other tracks where I use gates. This is G8 by unfiltered audio, and I use one for the kick signal and one for the snare signal with different settings. The kick is a bit longer. With this hold you can see that I use 50 milliseconds, and for the snare I use only 20 milliseconds, and while the kick completely mutes these other tracks, the snare only engages for around 80%, so it does not completely mute them, but it drastically lowers the volume of those other tracks. So let me show you how they sound by engaging them. So here is everything but the drums. You can hear those ducking effects whenever the kick would happen or the snare would happen, the sound drops. And with the drums, so that's how I create room in the mix. So let's talk a bit about mastering. Let's check how it sounds without master and with master. So what I did here was bringing back the volume a bit with a clipper, then catching those peaks with a soft clip saturator. After that I applied Gulfas and brought back those bright harsh frequencies just a bit. After that I use Verimon, Classic Clipper and Manic Compressor just to glue the sound a bit together. They barely work on the material. After those I have Saturator with 3 dB drive. After that also 9, which limits the wall signal. And after that another saturator with 2 dB drive. At the very end I have Purist Gain to automate the fade out on the master. As you can see I have that automation there. And after that I have Pole Deter, which is a dithering algorithm made by Windows. And that's it.